We're looking today at the S&P 500. We're going to look at two vehicles for it. We're going to look at the SPY ETF, so the Spiders ETF, and then we're going to look at possible trade on the futures for the mini futures for the S&P 500. So going back to our blog of a couple weeks ago, where we discussed the SPY on a 10-year bull market, where the trend line had been broken. Two of the observations we came down was we were looking at a 213.54 area being a support area, which we did go into that area. As you saw, the low that we made was 218.26, so a little bit above that, but we did break and came in pretty close to that area here of support, where you can see it could be anywhere from the 211, 210 to about 220 area. So all this whole little area of support area, it came down here and it found a little bit of a bounce there. And as you can see, we've been trending up for the last week. We had a nice strong move to the upside last week, and it's continued so far this week. Then we also discussed this trend line, this 10-year bull market trend line, as you can see here on a 10-year weekly chart of the Spider ETF. So you can see right here, we're a little bit above that right now. My inclination is I do have a little bit of bias more to the bearish side right now, and I did discuss that I would be looking at the trend line being around 255 price area to be an area of resistance. So we're in that area now. We've gone a little bit past the numbers. Now I always look at support and resistance as not exact numbers, but areas, right? So it looks like we're a little bit over that. So at this point here, I'm going to be looking more at setting up a trade to the bearish side. So I think today would be one of those days where we might be start seeing a reversal forming, and I'm going to start setting up for that. So going back to the 6 months daily chart, you can see, of course, a big down move, the bounce, and we are a little bit above the trend line here. Um, but this is a very interesting point to be at, right? This is a area of resistance where I could definitely see price action going back down again and maybe retesting the lows. So there's a nice little trade possibly setting up there. So let's take a look at the futures and let's see what type of trade we could probably set up there. So the S&P, oh, the S&P futures, which is right here. Let me just set up the chart. So again, we're seeing very similar picture. This is a daily and this is the hourly. Okay. So the trend lines, what I'm seeing here is of course exact same thing we saw at the S&P 500, downtrend, bounce back up, and it's hitting resistance. You can see here, 1, 2, 3, and this is the fourth day hitting this area of resistance, which is marked here on the hourlies. On the hours, you can see a very nice um, resistance here at the 2,635.75, and we have the support area down here in the 2,500 area. Um, so what I'm looking to set up here once the market opens is I'm going to be looking to set up a short trade on the futures. What I like about setting up short on the futures is I have a really defined area where I can get out of. If the markets are trading above this resistance, I will definitely get out of the trade. And if we start breaking down, you can see there's definitely a lot of move to the downside. Potentially, we could see this market coming back to test the lows. And let me just move this. So we can see this coming back down to test the lows of the potential 2,174. So that's a very interesting trade with a lot of profit potential and minimal loss. You can see you can have a a stop out area around here. So we can set up a stop out area in the vicinity of this price action here. So we start trading in this area, we can stop out with a target of a trade over the course of the next couple weeks of the market trading back down to this areas here. So definitely could see profit potential in this vicinity here, and loss, calculated loss in this area here. So I'm going to put some bubbles here just to remind me that this is the areas where I'm going to be looking for potential, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be breaking out of the trade in this area. If I'm right, I'm going to be taking profits in this area down here below. Okay. So excuse any I haven't done videos in a little while, so I'm getting back into the format of doing videos. But this is a trade setup that I'm looking at, trading the futures to the downside, depending how price action goes this morning, when to enter the trade. We can discuss that later about entering a trade, but I have a defined risk area with a defined profit potential. As you can see just from the graphs here, you can see there is definitely a lot of opportunity um, for profit and with a limited risk potential. Any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me. Again, have a great day and have a fun time trading.